I genuinely do think that because it's kind of weak in terms of the Interpol list. The only thing I was concerned about was an assault on a 16-year-old. All right, but you know, who knows what happened in that situation. I wasn't really worried about like tax evasion or whatever, or whatever it was called. But I didn't really care about that because they just throw that out to anyone most of the time. But yeah, just stay out of Europe. Like, stay in the States. Like, that's the solution. Go back to the States. Go fit as many B days as you want, and just don't be in Europe. Because yeah, that's probably the best thing. I always found that the Finland case, or I don't think Finland were even aware of it until the SEC brought a lawsuit. I don't even think they realized, hey, he was staying in Finland and he raised, you know, X amount of money until it became public and it went on the news, right? Because it was all over the different news outlets. And then after that, the Interpol case came. So I think it was just awareness like, oh shit, there's a guy who's in our country, who's got an address in our country, that's made a shit ton of money from a quote unquote illegal ICO. You know, let's get some money from it. It looked like a good opportunity to me, and I think if you're in any government's position, they'll probably do the same thing. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not really that bothered. The assault thing is a bit more concerning. That was more like when I had first seen it, I was like, oh, so he's banged the 16, he's banged the 16-year-old, right? You know, so that made me laugh.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty bullshit that they're going after him for taxes, and I think maybe the assault thing was thrown in there. I mean, maybe he did. Like, who knows? Maybe he hit someone, but maybe he was getting attacked. Maybe it was self defense. But I think that was thrown on there to actually get the red notice. Because I don't think like I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this, but like, is there anyone else on red notice that's on there for tax evasion or like owing taxes? And it's not
Yeah, most of them are murderers and killers. That's
right.
about
It's
it,
like
really. It's
murderers,
mainly
terrorists, drug cartels, and then it's like what he owed taxes, which technically he doesn't owe because I don't know the laws exactly in Finland, but I don't think you pay unrealized gains tax. I don't believe that's even a thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the whole like assaulting a 16-year-old, I think it's a bit of a stretch in the sense that like I don't think he just literally just for no reason like some 16-year-old will pass him and said Hex is a scam, so he punched it in the face. Like, I don't think that happened. I think if he actually assaulted somebody or like it hit somebody and a 16-year-old, it was probably in self-defense, right? And then they figured out he's some rich guy and like that. I don't know, man. I think there's some foul play at play here. In Finland. So
yeah. And to your point as well, like so for those people that are American and don't know, Estonia is very very close to Finland. Like, you can take a boat. Finnish people often get on a boat. They go on this party boat and they buy alcohol from Estonia because it's super super cheap. So they get on this boat for like half an hour and like end up in Estonia. Now, when I saw like Richard was doing all the flexing and stuff, he was sitting on a G wagon. G wagon had a Estonia plate. Also, the taxes in Estonia when it comes to crypto is way way lower than it is in Finland. So I'm pretty sure he's registered or he's got an address there in Estonia, and probably if he's going to pay tax on any capital gains, it's probably through Estonia. I think it's about 10% or 12%, whereas I think in Finland it's way way higher than that. So I've always had the belief that he was probably registered in Estonia or had an address there or whatever, and he would probably be paying if he was to pay tax on crypto, he'd be going down that route, and probably just rents an address in Finland. But I might be wrong on that. It's just I saw the cars and I saw the cars registered in Estonia, and I'm like, well, it would make sense if you're living in that part of the world. You want to be in a very good tax jurisdiction, which is literally a half an hour boat ride across from you. Yeah, so that's the other thing. I've always thought that he's probably got a residency there or an address there.
and also the way I see it, even if he has a red notice on him, yeah, even if it's real, like the tax charges and whatnot, I don't think that should stop exchanges from listing Pulsechain because if that's the case, every exchange has BNB listed, and CZ literally went to prison for money laundering. Nobody delisted BNB token from their exchange. So I find it hard to believe. Like I get it. They're probably pressured into it when it comes to the red note. Like I don't have confirmation of this because Mexi haven't given me a straight answer yet. But if I was to guess why we got delisted, it had to do with the red notice. But moving forward, I don't think that should be an issue because it was not just the red notice, it also the SEC case was still ongoing. And I think that might have triggered the legal team at Mexi to be like, all right, well, you know, we allowed the SEC case, we listed it, but like now the red notice, like, come on, man, like let's play it safe and delist them. But I don't think that should affect exchange listings moving forward. I really don't, because if CZ can go to prison for money laundering and BNB not get delisted from exchanges, then I don't think they'll care about Richard Hart being on the Interpol list.
And I don't know the full involvement of Roger Ver and BCH, right, Bitcoin Cash, but I'm pretty sure that most people most exchanges list Bitcoin Cash, and you know he's got an ongoing notice at the moment and is locked up in Spain. So
Difference is he's technically not the founder of
right,
BCH,
I see, I
right?
see.
Because it was a hard fork. Yes, like he is the face of it because he Roger Ver owned a shit ton of BTC. I said this to me the other day, and I was having this debate because they were like, "Well, why is if Pulsechain got delisted off of Mexi and OKX, why is BCH still listed? why is FTX still listed?" And I get FTX, like I don't know why that shit is listed on anything. I think people are starting to shift a bit and understand the situation. Why MXC are asking for more money? It's not they're not technically asking for more money to list, even though they kind of did at first. And I was just like, no, like when they wanted to jump on a call with me, I said, I'm not getting on a call with you guys if we're going to be talking about a listing fee. If there's no listing fee for relisting, I will jump on a call with you guys. So they said, let's jump on a call. They said, look, we're not going to charge a listing fee, but we need liquidity. And I was under the impression that the liquidity was still in the account on Mexi, which is technically owned by the group of people that got the listing done. And I don't know exactly who had control of those funds, but now those funds are missing. I don't know who took it. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just trying to figure out where they went. I'm going to have a wallet address probably tomorrow. It's where I am. It's like 11, half 10 at night. So in the morning, I should have a wallet address. And we're going to try and trace it if it's even possible to do. But yeah, long story short is there's 60k, which is probably worth 40k now, of liquidity that was deposited onto Mexi that was controlled by the community, or certain, not the community, but certain members in the community. And that was never given to Mexi as a listing fee. The fee was 60k. I explained, I covered what that covers. The other half, the other 60k, because there was 120k raised, so the other 60k was liquidity, which is not part of the listing fee. We have full control of the liquidity. We can withdraw it, deposit more. Whoever was in control of that wallet in the community has full control over that. So that wallet is now empty on Mexi, and even if Mexi say we're going to list you guys again, we still need liquidity for the market makers. So that liquidity is missing, and we're trying to get to the bottom of where it went, who had control of that wallet. But that's like a TDR basically. Because like you mentioned, like the account had to be set up on Mexi, and that was set up for the liquidity to go into and the market makers to be able to connect their API to do their job. And as someone who's worked in exchanges, and like typically what happens with market makers is they don't get given access to the account. They get given an API access and permissions. And permissions generally are just trading, whether that be spot or futures. In Pulsechain's case, it's just spot trading. So the only way that the market makers could have had the ability to withdraw is if on our side, so whoever it was, Coffee, Bar Chef, or whoever had access, had given that permission to the market makers to withdraw. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure all this out and like see what's what and what happened.
So I think Barchef must have the answers. He was very instrumental and super proactive on this part. I just went through the chat trying to find more, but I could find where they said that they had to set up a wallet. I think roughly the whole amount sent, LP, like liquidity and everything else, was around 120K,
Yeah.
not including maybe some extra donations. So there might be some
Mhm.
extra stuff there, but he must have the answers. Barchef must have the answers. So I don't know if you has he given you any replies yet at
No,
all?
I literally just got about 10, 15 minutes ago, I just got a message from Coffee who set up a
Okay,
Telegram group with myself and Barchef, but Barchef, I just checked, hasn't entered the group yet. So once he does,
okay,
obviously I'm gonna ask him. And yeah, you're correct. It was 120K. 60K of that was paid to Mexi, and the other 60K was liquidity. It was split $30,000 USDT, $30,000 PLS, and that's what was added to that wallet for market making. I've also
yeah,
asked Mexi to get me that wallet address.
So I don't know. I mean, I've heard what y'all are speaking on, and I've heard, these concerns here and there. I don't know much about it personally, other than, I sent Money Gang the names of the people I know are involved. What I wanted to speak to is the character of Barchef. I got to meet him in Atlanta. This was like over a year now, and the Pulsechain tour went through there. He opened up. He has, it's called the Atlanta Blockchain Center. Marlin, he's been in the space forever. He's got a dev background, brilliant dude, genius, like retired right from crypto before all this. He considers himself a pulse chain guy, pulse chainian, right, versus hexagon, and has encouraged. So he's got an incubator at the Atlanta Blockchain Center. And it's been, for me, it's been the coolest thing to see this happen. When I was there, the Project Pi team, they were working on their elevator pitch. So I've got to see that team go from, learning how to do their elevator pitch to now being a full-fledged project on Pulse Chain, who won our pitch fest the last year in Vegas, and then this year got to be there up on stage representing and actually sponsored the event. So and Marlin's their mentor, Barchef. Just, I mean, he is the salt of the earth kind of dude. Just has the best of intentions for this chain and for those that are building on it and working on it. And he was on the Telos Foundation. He helped start that and was a part of that. And so he's just been doing this work for years. And and I know no one has really said anything to slander him so far that I've heard in this space, but I just wanted to speak to that I know him on a personal level. He is an outstanding human, and I'm sure he's got answers for you guys. So I know everyone's kind of waiting and watching to see what happens, but I just wanted to throw that out there. He really is just a king among kings in this space, and I'm really I'm hopeful that we'll get some clarity on all of it soon.
And
Thank you.
just to make it clear, SJ, this isn't kind of like a witch hunt. I think it's more just
No,
like
I
we're
didn't.
very, very
That's why
close
I
to.
didn't. Yeah,
No,
like
no,
I
it's
don't. I
just
don't
so close to getting
anticipate
relisted.
that
I think.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And there are, it's weird what happened with all that. And I don't know anything about, just listening to Panos talk about it, right? Like you guys know way more than I do about all this stuff. And I'm hopeful that Mexi's going to relist. Like it's unfortunate that happened. It's frustrating. No one wants to put up more money, and I know that Barchef was one of the, like, he contributed a lot of his own funds. He put up the first big chunk of funding for that to happen. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure clarity will come with time, and yeah, it's a good discussion to have for sure, especially right now with the fact that we're we are in the clear, right? Like that we won, and it's so frustrating to have been in this space for so long, and many of you have been here longer than I have, but I got to see us be just like, I got to see the euphoria, right? And that's what, in part, that's what has kept me here, is knowing how much and how many people really won with Hex at the beginning, right? And got in and did the right thing and took profit. and are now living this awesome life and are retired, and people like Abit going from being homeless to not, like, that happened for so many people. And I think that that's what keeps a lot of the people who are still down on their own investments around and in the space and wanting to continue to see us win and move this whole narrative forward. It's frustrating, it's tiring, like even little positivity princess over here gets down about it sometimes, but that's why for me it's important to do the in-person meetups, like the Pulse 369 event we just did. Like, you really get to, and Barchef was there, like this guy flew in. He knew that he committed to speak on a panel, missed his first flight because of traffic in Atlanta, got on a plane the morning of the day he had to speak, flew in, did his panel, and flew out that evening, just because he was, he said, I made a commitment and I wanted to honor that. So it's that kind of personality and drive that I think keeps us moving forward and will ensure our success in the future.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. And yeah, I just want to make it clear we're not blaming anybody here. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it, and I think we're close to that. So hopefully Marlon could shed some light or have some information, or at least help in some way to try and figure out what happened. But yeah, like now that we're in the clear with the SEC, like that, the first thing I done was reach out to Mexi, and I've got us to a place where, like, even after, like, I think I caused a bit of chaos, and but I think that chaos brought them back to the table in the sense that, like, they don't want to be slandered, first of all, obviously, but at the same time they see how powerful the community is or can be, and they're probably thinking, wow, if we list these guys again, like, imagine the positive tweets we're going to get. Like, right now we're just getting negative posts, but like that will switch on a dime if we list them again. So obviously it's in their best interest to list them. Like, I've been working for the last couple of weeks talking to them, and like I'm at this place now where I think we're probably going to get relisted. But now I found out that, well, the liquidity is gone. So that's why I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not pointing fingers. I just want to know who was in charge and in control, and I want to speak to them and see what they have to say. That's it. So I don't know Barchef. I've never spoken to him. I don't know much about him at all. To be honest, I don't know anything about him. You just enlightened me on who he is and what he's been doing. So I appreciate that. And like Money Gang said, this isn't a witch hunt. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it, because if we do get relisted, we need to move quick on it. Like, we need to get onto this as quick as possible, and hopefully it has a domino effect where other exchanges start looking at it and wanting to list. So yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to thank you, and I've seen a few other people do this as well, just encouraging people to be more mindful about what they're saying and what they're posting. And like, it's doing no one any good to be blaming, or pointing fingers or being mad at Mexi, right, about all this, or anyone, right? So until we find out, really, like, it's better to just hold your tongue, right? I was saying this on my stream earlier, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Like, just chill. A lot of people come at other people not knowing the full story, not knowing the truth, right? I mean, I know Money Gang can speak to that, right? Getting blamed and told he did all these terrible, like, what? Like, I mean, Money Gang and I have hung out in person. He's a stand-up awesome dude. Like, I get beside myself sometimes seeing just the vitriol and the venom that gets spit from one person to another when, like, I like the way RG says it, they're talking out the side of their neck. And they don't really know what's going on. So as the positivity princess, I am here to say, right, like, focus on the good, right? Focus on what we're doing right, and focus on building and bringing positivity to the space.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've been telling people this. You catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. And I understand why the community are upset, but also I think a big part of it is because they don't fully understand the full story. I didn't even know the full story until I actually reached out to my contacts at Mexi and got a breakdown, and then spoke to Coffee, and then Coffee confirmed things, and I was like, okay, hold on a minute. Like, I think I know where the disconnect is, and I think I can fix it if I speak out now and just try and like let people know, hey, like don't be saying those things. It's like we're not going to get relisted by attacking people, right? So yeah, I'm trying to like I don't want the community to burn the bridge with Mexi. So I'm just trying to fix that, and then at the same time trying to figure out what happened to this liquidity, and then we can move forward and everyone can be happy. And it's just the community can just be very, very aggressive. You see how they fight with each other. So like you can just imagine how they feel to outsiders, which is like anyone that's not in the community, Mexi being one of them, right? They're very quick to throw shade and call it a scam. And like it's funny because most of these people like they've been in crypto 5 minutes and they're calling centralized exchanges scams. They're all scams. They're like bro, like that's not how this shit works. Like it's not that black and white. It's not that cut and dry. It's more gray than it is black and white. And this is what I'm trying to like educate people on. It's like Mexi aren't the bad guys here, right? They have every right to delist us. We were lucky they listed us. Like think about this. We were in a court battle with the SEC. They were coming after Richard Hart and saying you launched a security. Like, Pulsechain is a security. Now, just so people understand, XRP got delisted from every major exchange: Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, every exchange, because of the exact same reason. Ripple Labs were being sued by the SEC for selling securities. Okay, that was the court case. XRP got delisted off of everything. Pulsechain we were only listed on one exchange, thank God, which was OKX. As soon as the SEC news came out, OKX delisted Pulsechain. I don't know how many months later, it was quite a while later that we got listed on Mexi. I'm surprised they even listed us. The fact that they knew that we was in a court battle with the SEC, but they were probably like, you know what? Gary Gensler's going to be out soon. We've got Trump coming in. None of this shit holds any weight. We're going to list them. So like, we got to be thankful that Mexi actually listed us because no other exchange wanted to. Like no other exchange wanted to list us when we were in a court battle with the SEC. So you got to give credit where credit's due. Mexi didn't have to list us; they could have refused. They chose to list us. And no, they didn't steal money off of us. They didn't rob us for 120k, which is what people are tweeting. Like, oh, they stole 120k off us. No, they didn't. We paid them 60k to get listed. We got delisted. Guess what? They can ask us to pay them a listing fee again if they want to. But like I'm at a point with them where they're not actually going to charge us a listing fee. They just need the liquidity. So let's just be more positive. And you got to think about this like this as well, right? It's not just Mexi that are seeing people talking negatively about them. Other exchanges are seeing that too, right? They're like, "Whoa, these guys are a bit aggressive," right? So like, it's like we got to set an example as a community, not to just be savages, right? Like, not even the XRP army were that savage, right? And that was like one of the original cults. Like, I remember, I don't know if you guys were in crypto back then, but like 2016, 2017. Like that was the cult. Like that was the cult, and they weren't as savage as the Hexicans. Like I'm not throwing everyone in the same bucket, but there is a group here that are just like so unhinged and like will say the craziest stuff, and I'm just like, whoa, like that's not how we get listed on exchanges, guys. Like so, yeah. And again, I do take some blame because what I did was when at first Mexi refused, they said, yeah, we'll list you, but we're going to charge you again. I made a post saying basically like I'm quite offended that they're asking us this, but what do you guys think? And that's when it all started. It was just like everyone was just going in, and I was like, shit, what have I done? I've really like opened up a can of worms here. But it was because of that I got a response saying let's jump on a call, and literally they were like, all right, we'll list you guys for free, but the negativity has to stop, and yeah, we just need the liquidity again. So that was that. So yeah, I think let's just try, be positive, move forward, get some more listings, and yeah, now I think it's go time now. Like the SEC, we got 5-6 days left of this time period where the SEC can appeal the court's decision, which I highly doubt they're going to do. But after that, it's like there's like nothing stopping us, right? If we work together as the energy that the community put in to tweet and post at Mexi in a negative way, if we put that energy in a positive way at the exchanges, like I'm pretty sure we can get some other listings, and I think we'll get a lot further than demanding to be listed or relisted in our case. So.
I just wanted to point out one other thing, and this is something that Nuclear Herb said, and then I was listening to Creative Crypto, which is Crypto Ewok, and I think it was 88 Crypto is his name. And there is and I don't know if it started at that 20-day, before the 20 days, or if it's after the 20 days, but there's another 60-day period where something can be done. And I'm not even gonna say the word. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what the words were, but I remember specifically Herbs saying that if he were Richard's legal counsel, he would tell him to wait until that 60-day period is over. So I just wanted to like bring a little clarity to that, because I know a lot of people are just like, oh, this 20 days is going to be over. Richard's going to come back. Richard's going to stream. And of course, we all want that. We all want to see that happen. But just know that there is another legal something going on that could extend. Like I think it's like they have some way to reply or appeal, or there's some other piece of the
Yeah,
process that we have to hold out.
I'm pretty sure that ends on the 19th of this month. Pretty sure. I might be wrong. I'll have a look at Nuclear Herbs' statuses again, but I'm pretty sure it's up until the 19th of March.
That was the 20-day period, but there's another period. It's like a 60-day period after that, or maybe it was like those 20 days and now we have to wait another 40 days. It was two specific time periods. So that was just something I wanted to throw out there, that I'm pretty sure we have to we just have to keep holding on. And this is kind of a little pivot. I don't know if you guys want to go into talking about this or if you have already, but as someone who I'm experiencing my first quote unquote bull run, and I'm just like, newer to the space and seeing all these different opinions and people posting, oh, it's over, and like, I'm just like, wait, but what? Like, green candles. So I also saw a couple people post charts where it's like, hey, this is the point where you don't give up, right? Like, this is the darkness before the dawn, which I'm hoping that that's the truth and that's what's happening. So I'd love to hear you guys kind of chime in on, having seen cycles in the past. Like, do you feel like this is kind of fitting that same cycle narrative? Are we seeing something different? Like, are we just, about to take off? Like, where are you guys at with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been through. This is like my third or fourth cycle now, so this one is very different in the sense that it's this cycle. I mean, if you've been in Bitcoin, you've had an amazing bull run, because we've gone from like 15K to it went to what, 107K. But this cycle, the altcoins, which are mainly run when Ethereum runs. Thank you. You too. Mainly runs when Ethereum runs. They've been struggling. It's been really bad. I mean, Ethereum has just been going down and down and down. So this cycle is very different to the last cycle and the cycle before that. But I don't think it's over. I just think there's games being played. Like Trump being elected was literally the top. Like for now, where everyone thought that Trump was going to get elected. And this is like the thing, like what people say is like, you always do the opposite of the crowd, right? It's buy the rumor, sell the news. Everyone thought Trump was going to get elected, and there was going to be this Bitcoin strategic reserve, and they were going to buy 1 million Bitcoins, and like Trump was going to save like the crypto world. When actually the opposite happened, where we had this huge run up prior to the Bitcoin ETF, and then Trump getting in, and then once the election night in November, like everything just took off. And as soon as Trump got in office, I think the last the top was when he launched his meme coin like a couple of days before he got into office, and that kind of like signaled like the top, I think, and like everything's been selling off since then. But I think there's games being played, and I do think that we are going to have a bull run. Probably starting next month. If I was to guess, I'd say next month we're going to start recovering properly, and we should have a decent run. So that's my take on it anyway. I don't think it's over. I think it's just because it's so different this time, it feels like it's over. But to me, there's just so much bullish things going on that it would be hard for me to believe.
Everything Panos just said, basically, I agree what he just said. Unfortunately, I think that we could be in for a further downturn, but it's just a short-term, pain prior to the bull run that's coming. And nobody knows when that's going to be, but right now, my mentality always has been I lived in the crypto community world, and we all are, our pulse chain and hex and different tokens we all love. We depend on what we're kind of betting on, I guess. ETH going up, and Richard using those dollars to bring back the pulse, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is that, we're not in control of the macro economics, but I do think those are going to improve. And so I'm bullish, actually. The small downturns that we have and things we're experiencing, we've all been down for 3 years. Let's just be honest. It's been brutal. But I think that the where we're headed is golden. I speak in a lot of Telegram groups and with different coins, different tokens, and different communities. And I really think that overall our ecosystem is going to grow and be great. It's kind of tough right now. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, anybody here that can say differently, please speak up. But it's tough to go through what appears to be a bear market that I feel like I've been involved in for a long, long time. It's kind of tough. But long term, I think every one of us here in this space, we're in the right place. We're in an ecosystem that's going to boom. It's going to be awesome. So, Hannah, everything you said, I kind of echo and believe that, what you said. And that's all I really wanted to say was I appreciate what you said. And you said it more eloquently than I could say it. But, I'm here. I'm a long-term guy. I'm not pushing red buttons. I'm not panicked. We're gonna be good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think if you've only been holding Pulse Chain like core coins, it's been a tough couple of years for people. Like, I get it. That's why I always tell people you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like I got like Pulse Chain was like not even one. Like, it's not even my biggest holdings. I just and I didn't even sacrifice, to be honest. And I followed Richard Hart since 2017, and I didn't sacrifice because it was just an uncapped pre-sale with no vesting periods. So to me, that's just like a no. I've been involved in so many pre-sales. Last cycle, I done like 15 private sales, and what I learned from private sales were the ones that done the best, the ones I made the most money on, that actually performed the best, were ones that were capped. So there was a limit to how many private investors can get, like how much money can be put in, and the ones that had the best vesting periods, 18 months and so on. Problem with what Richard Hart done, and which is why I didn't sacrifice, and I was like, I'm buying this after the fact because I think I'll get it cheaper. It was an uncapped pre-sale, and there are VCs. Quote, like they say, oh, well, there's no VCs on this chain. Well, what do you think Rackham is? That is a VC, and there's multiple people like him that they might not have a VC firm, right? But they are technically a VC. But if they're worse than VCs, because at least VCs have unlock period, they have vesting periods, so they can't just sell whenever. They're vested, and their unlock schedule is public. So like on Solana, I love how people always use this analogy for Solana. They're like, oh, it's a VC chain, it's a scam VC chain, right? And I'm not like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Solana because it is quite centralized in that sense, but the unlocks on Solana are all public. You can see exactly when the unlocks are happening and how much Solana is getting unlocked. So it's more transparent in that sense. On Pulse Chain, we don't really have that. So like, I didn't like the fact that it was uncapped and that there were whales. So I don't know if most people probably know this, but if you sacrificed more than $1 million from one wallet, you got like 100% bonus, which means basically your sacrifice price is like half the price of everyone else's. So I knew that there would be a lot of selling, but I didn't know that the SEC were going to come after them. So I got into Pulsechain like after the SEC FUD. I DCA'd in from there basically, and I've been even now I'm still buying. I've been DCAing ever since because I do have faith in Richard Hart. But it has been a tough year and a half, almost 2 years now. Is it? No, it's over 2 years now, is it? No, so almost 2 years. It has been tough if you are just holding the core coins. But like, there's been so much money made on like you think things like PTGC, UFO, even like some of the copy coins. Like, there is money to be made on this chain. A lot of it. Like, I've like made my stack so much bigger, like my core coin stack, from these other coins. So yes, it has been tough, but at the same time, there's been some gems. I I remember PTGC. I got in PTGC so early. Like, it was a light. They done like a live stream like very shortly after they launched, and like that thing has done ridiculous numbers, like ridiculous. So there is money to be made on this chain, but you understand like the core coins are the ones that are the most heavily sold because they have the biggest holders.
This is so early as far as a layer one, and then the holders, the type of holders too. You know what I mean? That like the growth happened instantly because of what Hex did, in my opinion. And it's not. And Hex, you're right. Hex did most of it because of Richard, but most of it was the hype was so exciting at the time because I was there at that time and everybody wanted to stake it and they thought, wow, we're in. And that was back when like staking and rewards and all that stuff was so new and everybody was so excited about like, wow, I'm going to earn something for my token. And then you locked it up and you didn't realize that like that you're like making the price, you're helping the price push even higher, locking it up, and then it just kept going on. And then so the FOMO went like crazy. You know, it just went nuts. Not to mention how much money that Richards got, but the FOMO went, and the fact that this guy was 24/7 promoting his token. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like, who's the guy with his hat on here that like he is like super smart about crypto, and he'll just like spew knowledge all day long, and that's what sold some of them that I was visiting with. And then it was just the fact, okay, then the price performance even wanted them to buy more, and then that's the FOMO, right? Everybody wants to buy green candles. So that, man, it's a great time. You know what I say to people is like, why would you sell now? Like you're selling at losses and you're selling down. Who sells at losses? I tell people this all the time. It's like, why would you sell at a loss? I mean, the only reason, and I understand it, you have to, if you have to have money and you got tokens sitting there that are saying like, look, I can get $200. Then yeah, go get it if you have to have it. But if you don't, then you know it's going to rebound. There's too much built on it. I mean, it's still, it's probably out of all the layer ones that I'm involved in, it's got to be hands down the most exciting for the future. Like the most promising, and all the indicators pointing towards like at some point. And I'm not saying this year, it may be 3-4 years, but there'll be at some point where everybody looks back at it, what the way it was like when the early people were in Ethereum, the early people and some of these layer ones that just took off. Nobody wanted nothing to do with Solana 3 years ago. Nothing. Nobody even was talking about the shit. And then and of course it took off, and then meme coin went crazy, and then the pump fund and some of that stuff wrecked people. But the volume, and then what the good thing about this is that like that have done proven themselves. They got developers that are they're out there talking to people, that they're providing liquidity. They're doing the things that are going to stabilize their, not just their market of their coin, but the layer one that they're working on. And so it's exciting, man.
Yeah, I think of these prices, like the upside potential is
Oh, crazy,
incredible.
crazy.
So, I mean, yeah, but again, like people are selling, but you don't know people's situations, right? People might have to sell at a
Right.
loss. And it's not just people selling a loss. You gotta understand as well, like there's big whales that are ink farmers and they're selling that ink. And when they sell their ink, it drags everything down because of liquidity
Yeah.
bonding. Right. So a lot of people are like, well, who's selling? Who's selling? Yeah, well, there's big whales that are getting ink daily that literally have free ink. And when they sell, they might sell $500,000 worth of ink. And that could pull all of the core coins down 6% in a day. Like, that's very normal. But again, like at some point, as long as this bull run does continue, which I think it will, and like Ethereum does take off, the buys and Ethereum pulling up Pulse Chain as well will outweigh the sells, and we can go up.
Yeah,
And like,
and people got to look forward to, like, I like it when I look at some of the, like, the core coin charts and see big whales selling, right? So when they sell massive amounts, now you can check them and see. You can see, do they buy, or are they just trading, or are they just creating volume? Because some of those wallets are doing that. There's no doubt. I mean, they should be. They're supposed to. But that's opportunity for a lot of people. I mean, the sacrifice money, like all those people that got coins, and some of them selling because they're in a panic, or they just are selling because they don't know any better. You know what I mean? And nothing to speak bad about anybody, or they're just selling because, like, they have to look. That's just opportunity for everybody. And like I said, man, it don't matter. It's just, there's just too many good assets on this layer one. I mean, I'm in so many of them, and this is the only one that's like, man, there are some really good projects here that are gonna really, and the liquidity has been tied together so good. And like what you just touched on a little bit. Sorry to interrupt you when you were talking about Ethereum, because, like, people got to remember how much, like, liquidity moves everything. Like, the Nasdaq, everybody should be paying attention to that, because Richard has tied himself so thick with Ethereum, and then Ethereum with Bitcoin, and all that. The liquidity, you can decouple yourself by buys, and that's what it showed. It showed that just, what was it, a week ago, wasn't it? Or a week or 10 days, or was it just a week ago when the SEC stuff came out? And then Pulse Chain was the only layer one that was going green and heavy, right? And so it decoupled itself because people just buying on great news, thinking this is going to go crazy. And me and some of my friends that are investors together on some things, we were talking about it, and it's like, this is just the info that's coming out. This isn't the market. Like, when the market goes crazy, Pulse Chain always goes with it, and it will. So
yeah,
when all that news gets done, and Richard starts streaming, and everybody gets behind it, and the onboards start coming, and we get some sexes to where you don't have to bridge. Okay, everybody's excited about a central exchange, but it's not because it can be traded for leverage. It's because you don't need a bridge no more. And then all the normies can get in. When all that starts happening, and the Ethereum starts taking off, this thing will compound so fast. Like, these projects have such thick liquidity, it's crazy.
yeah. And the way I look at it as well, right? It's like the people that have made the real money this cycle. Yes, there've been some altcoins like Solana performed very well. It was like when Pulse Chain launched, Solana was $34, FYI. So if you'd bought Solana at launch of Pulse Chain, you'd have a lot more money now than if you'd bought the core coins. Even XRP has performed extremely well. So there's been some outliers, but we haven't really had an alt season, and a lot of people are holding Ethereum and these other altcoins, and they're either down or they just don't have much money. Bitcoiners have been the real winners this cycle. People that held Bitcoin and Bitcoin only have made a lot of money. Those people won't touch Pulse Chain. I'll tell you right now, Bitcoiners, they would never put their money into Hex or Pulse Chain. They won't put their money into anything. So don't take it like don't take offense to something like that. It's just that's the mentality of Bitcoiners. The ones that are maxes, they won't touch other coins.
Yeah.
So you got to understand right now there's not much money to be thrown into Pulse Chain from the wider crypto ecosystem because everyone's down. Because the people that do ape are holding Ethereum. The Ethereum whales, They need that shit to go up before they start aping into other coins and doing these more high risk plays like Pulsechain. So that's my thoughts anyway. Like when I'm wondering like why is more money not being bridged over, then I think to myself, well, Ethereum's like $1,900. Like this is a joke. You know what I mean? It was in 2021. It was $5,000. It's so. Yeah, I think a lot of people will come over, but the rest of their altcoins need to start. Their altcoin bags need to start moving for
Yeah,
them to
I think it's going to take.
move over.
I think it's just going to take longer than what people wanted it to, and some people will exit because they're hoping that it was going to happen way faster because of what all the stuff that Richard said. But everything that Richard said's not changed. Nothing's changed at what he said. He never said that the price performance was going to exceed just everything else like in a year. It wasn't going to happen. He never said it wasn't, but he never gave the expectation really that it was just going to just be this performing asset that just going to outdo everything once it comes out. That's not the case. I think there's going to be a time where it does. I think there is going to be a time where everybody that's still holding their bags and just holds them. That's why I said, like, if you have to get it, everybody's got a different reason. But the best thing that I can tell everybody that I do is that, like, look, I just don't. I'm not exiting anything. I'm putting a little more in here and there, and sometimes more. But I still think it's going to be one of the biggest L1s that move the fastest once it does like full send. Once it goes completely wild, like some of them have, and all of them do, and it usually is the ones that have. And usually, This is the thing that's really enticing, is that a lot of them don't start having the building happening until after the layer one really goes crazy, right? And then the building happens. Well, the building's been happening here since day one. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, have done really well, just like you were just saying. You made a lot really good on a lot of different projects that were not the core coins since it's launched, and that's what people should look at and be more excited about. Even if you only hold the core coins, you should be excited for the future because of what's already happened. And really, for this layer one, has been a down market the whole time. Not for all the alts on the layer one, because some of them have performed better than almost anything. I mean, there's been some stuff that, like, if you're in some of that stuff early, you did really well. I mean, so that's exciting to me because I've been in layer ones where nothing's been built at all. And then the layer one just takes off like crazy, which is basically their gas coin, right? So just their layer one, just their blockchain gas token goes crazy, and then all this stuff gets built afterwards. And that's kind of what Solana did, to tell you the truth. I mean, Solana did have some really early good stuff you could get in, if you were there back in those days. But it didn't have anything that got built like crazy until the last 2 years.